What makes a good pizza? Ask anyone and they'll probably tell you the same sort of thing. Writer-director James Gunn's long-awaited comic book movie The Suicide Squad debuts 1 month from today, which gives comic fans plenty of time to brush up on some source material before seeing what Gunn has up his sleeve. A crisp, flavorful crust is an absolute must. The cheese should be completely melted and well distributed. One particular stretch of comics you should hone in on is writer John Ostrander's 66-issue run from 1987 to 1992, which helped modernize the team after their initial Silver Age appearance and served as a big creative inspiration for Gunn. Here's how reading John Ostrander's Suicide Squad comics will help you prepare for the Suicide Squad. A very brief overview. The first iteration of the Suicide Squad debuted in the pages of DC's The Brave and the Bold in 1959, in which a team was assigned to battle a red wave that was boiling the ocean as it headed toward a seaside resort. The comic didn't achieve much popularity, and the team essentially faded into obscurity, until Ostrander came into the picture decades later. He took over writing Suicide Squad comics in May of 1987, and kicked off his run with a story about the ruthless Amanda Waller sending Rick Flag and a new batch of Task Force X supervillains into an impregnable mountain fortress called Jotunheim to defeat a group of terrorists. The toppings, naturally, should be of the highest quality. Gunn's new film features his own version of the squad heading into Jotunheim, a Nazi-era prison, laboratory. Greasy is bad. Doughy is bad. Burnt is a disaster. Despite that surface similarity, producer Peter Safran noted during our set visit that this upcoming movie relied heavily on Ostrander's sensibilities while still being a completely original story, from James Gunn. I'm a huge fan of the original John Ostrander run of Suicide Squad, which is he created the whole Dirty Dozen-esque supervillains, Gunn said on the set. And I don't think of this movie so much as an interpretation of what he wrote, but I do think of it as a continuation of what he did. Gunn tried to recapture some of Ostrander's style, which unsurprisingly ended up earning him an R rating for this film. The director has exceptionally high praise for Ostrander's work, calling his stretch from 87-92 one of the greatest superhero runs of any comic book series. While it launched Captain Boomerang and Deadshot to popularity, relatively speaking, anyway, they're still comparatively obscure characters when juxtaposed against Batman, Wonder Woman, and the like. Fans will also appreciate seeing the first appearance of Barbara Gordon as Oracle, the tech-savvy, eye in the sky persona she adopted after being shot by the Joker during the events of The Killing Joke. A human touch amid the chaos. One of the things Ostrander's Suicide Squad comics were known for was the way he humanized the characters, providing insight into their mental states even while knowing that the premise of the team is that they're all expendable. That type of care and genuine interest in his characters' inner lives feels akin to what Gunn did with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies for Marvel Studios, especially with Rocket Raccoon, a damaged experiment subject to whom Gunn deeply relates. As for the somewhat ridiculous lineup of characters in this new movie, Polka Dot Man Hive, Rise Up, Gunn says, when Ostrander was first putting this team together, he was only able to get certain characters. Those are the core tenets of a really decent pizza, and they're not exactly complicated, but it's often surprising how many places can get it wrong. A good pizza place should, as some matter of priority, serve good pizza. And it really was for him the fun of taking these characters that weren't as well known and developing them in a real way. Just because there's comedy mixed into a big-budget comic book film doesn't mean there can't also be an honest exploration of characters' needs and wants. Reading Ostrander's comics likely won't give you any early access to specific plot details in Gunn's forthcoming movie, but if you want to familiarize yourself with the vibe and tone that Gunn is striving to capture, diving into the pages of those comics is a great way to achieve that. Cool posts from around the web. That's the criteria we're focusing on with these rankings, although other factors, such as value for money or the company's own ethical record, are also likely to make a mark on the list. From the heavyweight names, to the up-and-coming chains, to the stalwarts of American pizza making, these are the very best and the very worst of what the country has to offer. 10. Papa John's. Papa John's is one corner of the great triumvirate of delivery pizza chains. Unfortunately, great is taking the definition here of prominent, not of tasty.
The menu itself is decent enough. You've got all the classics, margarita, veggie, sausage and pepperoni. That kind of thing. But the only dishes that could really be considered inventive just come across as a little bizarre. Hawaiian barbecue chicken? Tropical luau? Spinach Alfredo? Really? Then there are the pizzas themselves. Practically everything we mentioned before about what makes a good pizza is lacking here. The crust and dough is often airy and soft. The cheese is lacking. And they're just greasy enough to make you hate yourself for eating them, though nowhere near as bad in this sense as some of Papa John's peers. Worst of all, though, is their special garlic dipping sauce, which has arguably inflicted more misery upon mankind than most wars. Avoid. 9. Papa Murphy's look. Just take it from us. Never trust your pizza with someone who refers to themselves as Papa. The biggest problem with Papa Murphy's pizzas, aside from the fact that you have to bake them yourself, is the crust. Their signature range of pizzas come on a crust thinner than a B-movie plot. Their gourmet delight pizzas, which, according to the restaurant, are sophisticated recipes, come on a crispy thin crust, which practically defies the laws of physics. But hey, it's not all bad news. If you're after a pizza which exists in the third dimension, you can also opt for their stuffed pizzas. That's not a stuffed crust pizza, by the way, that's a pizza that is entirely stuffed. The Neapolitans would freak. Why must our only options be gluttony or starvation? Pizzas which don't snap in half when they're picked up and pizzas which aren't literally bursting at the seams are not mutually exclusive. Find the middle ground. Papa Murphy's. 8. Uno Pizzeria and Grill. Ready for some controversy? Great, here it is. Deep dish pizza is not pizza. It's pie. Our full apologies to the people of Chicago, because they take this sort of thing incredibly seriously for some reason, but it's true. Nothing that could ever feasibly be mistaken for a birthday cake has any right to call itself a pizza. With that out of the way, let's move on to Uno Pizzeria and Grill, the chain that invented the deep dish pizza. They might take center stage on the restaurant's menu, and Uno does seem to enjoy making a big deal about how great they are, but, as we've established already, they're not actually pizzas, and so do not qualify for a prime spot on this list. Let's look at their thin crust options instead then, which, honestly, aren't too bad as far as the major chains go. Not a lot on offer, unfortunately, but they taste relatively decent. Looking at you here, John, and the crusts are at least perceptible to the human eye. Looking at you here, Murphy. 7. Little Caesars. Little Caesars is a heavyweight pizza chain, no doubt about that. It's just a shame the pizzas are so lightweight. The sauce they use is actually kind of great, but the dough is chewy and the cheese is nothing special. More than that, though, is the sense of unease that comes too often with eating a Little Caesars pizza. The nagging voice at the back of your head which keeps telling you that you could be eating something better. We're not sure what causes it, rooted in a certain je ne sais mais, perhaps, but it's always there. If you happen to arrive just as they're taking a fresh batch out of the oven, you might be pleasantly surprised, but chances are, your hot and ready pizza will have been that way for a long, long time before it gets to you. It's not all bad, though. There are plenty of choice, the sides are occasionally decent, and their rectangular deep dish pizzas at least have the sense to not masquerade as real pizzas by coming in a circular shape. All in all, thoroughly average. 6. Domino's. Remember that episode of The Simpsons where Bart and Homer set up a business selling grease to pretty much anyone who'll take it? Well, that's basically Domino's. The second corner of the Great Triumvirate, Domino's has carved out an incredibly comfortable place for themselves in the American pizza industry since their foundation in 1960. Unfortunately, their pizza doesn't quite match their reputation. The toppings are great, we'll give them that. There are plenty of them on offer too, which comes in handy if you're opting for a create-your-own shindig instead of one of the pre-made items. Beyond that, though, there's not a lot going for them. The garlic-seasoned crust makes a hell of a mess, the edges are never quite crispy enough, and the things are just drenched in grease. Now, that's all fine and dandy if you're looking for a quick-fix indulgence after a night on the town. In fact, few chains do comfort pizza better, but it's just no good the rest of the time. Nobody likes a soggy slice. 5. Pizza Hut. At last, we come to the final corner of the Great Triumvirate, and by far the best. Pizza Hut is the best chain pizza you're going to get that's still not quite really good pizza.
There are loads of choices on the menu. The toppings aren't too shabby. The crust is all right, and the cheese tends to be gooier and smoother than that found at their biggest rivals. What's more, Pizza Hut's stuffed crust pizzas are the only gluttonous indulgence we're going to make any time for on this list because, if we're being completely honest, they are actually a really good idea. So sue us. We're not exactly in Pizza Valhalla yet. Sadly, Pizza Hut's grease factor is a little high and the pizzas, just like those at Papa John's and Domino's, still tend to be massively overpriced. But things are certainly starting to look up. 4. Pieology. Pieology is basically Subway for pizza. You walk in and customize your pizza from start to finish at the counter. Everything, crust, sauce, cheese, meats, toppings, and, after bake, sauces, is fully customizable. The choice on offer is nothing short of spectacular. 5 crusts, 7 sauces, 6 cheeses and a long list of meats and toppings means that pretty much the only way to make your pizza more personal is to make the whole thing yourself. The pizzas themselves aren't exactly huge, they're definitely nothing compared to the behemoths sold by its nationwide rivals. But your heart and arteries will probably thank you for it. Even better, the ingredients are all fresh and tasty enough to mean that, whichever pizza you do choose, you're unlikely to go unsatisfied. Throw in the fact that Pieology is a family-owned chain with some pleasantly wholesome origins and you've got the foundations for a really great restaurant. 3. California Pizza Kitchen. California Pizza Kitchen, self-professed inventors of the barbecue chicken pizza, have long been the restaurant of choice for anyone who wants the comfort of a major chain without any of the self-loathing that follows after buying from one. Their range of pizzas is nothing if not ambitious. Shrimp scampi, steak, wild mushrooms and Thai chicken all feature on their own pizzas. But what makes CPK's options infinitely more appealing than some of the innovative dishes we've already seen from, for example, Papa John's, is the quality of the ingredients used. It's much easier to stomach the idea of a club chicken pizza when you're looking at toppings that include applewood smoked bacon, avocado, wild arugula, torn basil, and romaine, tossed in lemon pepper mayo. It really feels like they've put effort into coming up with something interesting. Like a chef has created these pizzas rather than, say, a marketing team. 2. Bertucci's. If you ever take a look at how the best pizzas you've ever had were all made, you're likely to find a single common denominator: a wood-fired oven. Nowhere is this clearer than at Bertucci's, a 37-year-old chain based out of Somerville, Massachusetts. The signature pizzas on their menu tend to be more Italian in style than your run-of-the-mill chain. Expect to see things like prosciutto, ricotta, balsamic fig glaze or pesto rather than, say, pineapple or barbecue sauce, while the pizzas themselves are thin, but thin in that nice, crispy and traditional Italian style, rather than thin in the frozen supermarket pizza sense. The wood-fired aspect of their production also means that Bertucci's pizzas are likely to be cooked just right, with the toppings nicely roasted and the base defined by that smoky, heady taste that you just can't get with a normal oven. For sheer Italian authenticity, this is your best option. 1. Mod Pizza. Now this is pizza royalty. Mod's pizzas are as customizable as the ones you'd find at Pieology. You can choose your sauce, cheeses, and toppings from a list of over 30, or opt for something off the pre-made menu. Those toppings are nothing short of superb. Everything from pesto to roasted broccoli to arugula to asiago, to romaine, to basically anything you could possibly want. All served on beautifully cooked personal pizzas which, get this, all cost exactly the same, no matter how many toppings you throw on top. Just to cinch the deal, Mod is an ethical company who take not just quality but also environmental impact and animal ethics into mind when sourcing their ingredients. They're also known for treating their workers well and hiring staff with special needs, as well as those who have been incarcerated in the past. A good heart and good pizza, Mod is the best. Full stop.